Much as I thought I could plan a podcast, that is not going to happen. I do not have the mindset to sit here. Chop up block for block how I'm going to tell you about weight loss and weight gain. Forgiveness is the regaining and rejoining into continuance, regardless of the mechanics involved. We are one continuously. Then we separate ourselves in order to pay attention to the choices and promises we make and the people we associate with, like, and love. When we're severed, the healthiest thing we can do is to rejoin the continuum we separated from originally. Use my life experience for the purpose. To accept me or to forgive me, for instance, it'd be wise to be informed about the particular mechanics involved on impact concerning that forgiveness. What I've done is engraved in my continuum. In the right environment and its pending circumstances, I am that person. My conviction and its ugliness are with me forever. Now, what is dually combative here is that if I ever give up on changing my ways and want to resort to those same insecure past behaviors, I cannot re-enter that continuum without forgiving myself of the stances I took against it and whatever mechanics were forged because of my abandoning it. I must also be informed of what those mechanics have become in the now and my responsibility in it, in creating them. I must be able to accept this downfall on impact. This is also true for the positive end of the same behavior. My speaking out against my pain, my past, and ignoring the consequences in pursuit of safer measures, or even letting those circumstances defeat me by standing neutral to either cause, dismisses forgiveness negatively, thus creating and strengthening a void within the mechanics of my continuum that anyone can lay claim to for whatever reason that I cannot even interrupt on impact. We all have parts of ourselves that are unidentifiable because we have become defeaters of forgiveness in some way, whether it was done intentionally or not. We've all done something we were confused about and did it anyway. We've all followed the crowd and participated in some activity that required an abandonment of some sort just so we can return to normalcy or the continuum. Yet for me, and because of the strength and size of the void in my continuum, the best thing I can do is to condition myself, mechanize myself to a point or place that makes reentry itself not catastrophic to me, but to the continuum itself, which is dangerous at all levels. Whenever we've done something destructive and must seek or obtain forgiveness at all costs, the reentry into the continuum is catastrophic. It is an extinction-level event that will destroy the continuum on impact. So, because I've experienced one of these supernovas firsthand, what I did was create a larger, more complex and agreeable continuum that can envelop and disassociate with the previous one. This is done by treating forgiveness as a process, an experience, and existence that is not momentary but continuous. By treating forgiveness as a process with structure and not a choice, it becomes an existence. I must become a forgiveness that is obvious to you and omnipresent to me. Omnipresent, widely or constantly encountered, common or widespread, is God's concept of eternity. On the website All About God, throughout the Bible, everything created continues to exist under the control of a sovereign God, an omnipresent God. Saw that all he had made, the heavens and the earth, were completed in all their vast array. Genesis 31 through Genesis 2:1. The human mind classifies events along a sequential timeline with specific divisions for the past, present, and future. The constant transition from each classification relies upon an individual's perception of a given occurrence. God, who is eternal, is not limited by time. The omnipresence of God signifies that he cannot be contained by the largest space possible. While God does not have spatial limitations, he is not a bigger space or a layer area surrounding the space of the universe as we comprehend it. He does not simply exist in a kind of infinite, unending space. God is present to all space. The 19th century theologian Charles H. Spurgeon proclaimed, "We believe that he, God, filleth heaven and earth and hell, that he is in the very space which his creation seems to claim. For creatures do not displease God, and even the space which is occupied by his handiworks is still filled with himself. The rocky bowels of the unsearched out depths are full of God. Where the sea roars or where the solid granite leaves no interstice or vacuum, even there is God. Not only in the open place and in the chasm, but penetrating all matter and abounding everywhere in all and filling all things with himself. Allaboutgod.com. What all of this means to me, and hopefully for you, is the capacity of forgiveness. If you were or are to forgive me, it's not a larger, wider capacity, but a more conscious, responsible, and dynamic mechanic that has more parts and workings than the one created from the mistakes I made. Because consequence requires a knowledge and engagement detriment to the operations of the individual alone, thus the requisite of a higher being of control, the mechanics of the mistake, though heinous and destructive, are never as instrumental, effective, occurring, and resonant as the mechanics created that contain the forgiveness of God in Christ in omnipresence. The destruction of the individual creates a space for God to become omnipresent within that act. Forgiveness is created when God extends himself through Christ for our salvation. In order to seek forgiveness, one must revisit the act that caused the separation and become the void. One must believe that the void has a purpose and seek help that can withstand any impact regardless of how it works. One must seek the opposite direction of what caused the void and prepare for a separation from it. One must be at a place of acknowledgement, almost as still as the sun itself, so that the proponents of continuums, life on earth, can begin addressing you apart from the convictions and hurts that you hold within. This addressing becomes more permanent and complex the more you are seen within it. For the purposes of the structure of forgiveness, you cannot deviate from its instruction. The goal is to become an address that allows others to take of its forgiveness and present it as their own. The goal is to become an address of forgiveness for those whom do not inherently possess forgiveness of themselves and are resistant to change. As much as I thought I could plan a podcast, that is not going to happen. I do not have the mindset to sit here chop up block for block how I'm going to tell you about weight loss and weight gain.